Hey, what is happening, guys? What is going on YouTube? Thank you for tuning into Rules for Rebels. You have tuned into episode 63 of Side Hustling and a fresh new episode of Side Hustle Tuesdays. We've got some more exciting stories coming to you guys in the coming weeks. I've noticed a lot of you guys' attention, as well as the entrepreneurship community as a whole's attention, has been shifting to service businesses and more locally based side hustles. And I actually think that's really cool. I think in this day and age of Shopify stores and drop shipping and Amazon FBA, people tend to forget about the more traditional businesses, the service-based businesses, and knocking on doors and shaking hands with people and all that good old school stuff. I think oftentimes a service business is not only more likely to succeed since there's a real demand for something like getting your lawn cut, for example, and not necessarily a real demand for somebody buying your parachute hammock. So I think oftentimes these businesses are more likely to succeed. There's also oftentimes less of a learning curve, less competition, and I truly feel like anyone who wants to start making money ASAP, as in a couple weeks or even possibly a couple days, I think a service business is one of the best ways to do that. Despite some of these online gurus talking about making $100,000 in their first 30 days, most online businesses are going to take more time to build and more upfront investment. Anyhow, I recently connected with a local dude who's putting kind of an interesting spin on the local business avenue and the service business category. He's someone who actually managed his own local service business, but after going back to college, couldn't manage to do both school and business, so he used his knowledge of technology to basically build an app around providing this service locally and using contractors to do the work. Now, this type of business does present its own challenges, but I thought it was kind of cool how he was mixing the old school world of business and local businesses with kind of the tech aspect. And well, that's not what today's episode is about. I'm hoping to get him on in a future episode. I just connected with him today, so should be bringing that one to you guys soon. But I digress. Let's talk about today's side hustle story and today's side hustler. For today's story, I wanted to give a shout out to the entrepreneurs and side hustlers out there who are a few years older. I feel like on YouTube, blogs, and in entrepreneur circles online, there's a big focus on being a younger entrepreneur. For some strange reason, you throw out something about a 16-year-old millionaire or making $20K a month drop shipping at 18, and people lose their fucking minds. But let's not forget about the older entrepreneurs and side hustlers out there. This story is for you guys. It's kind of funny, I read an article a while back that talked about how the baby boomers should get into the gig economy and side hustling, and it actually made a lot of sense. A number of years back, my father lost his job and had trouble finding another one. It's no secret that ageism is a thing, and it's no secret that many companies out there would prefer hiring cheap recent grads as opposed to an older person who's going to demand more money and who maybe only has a few years left in the workforce. Because of that challenge that they face, it actually makes a lot of sense that boomers would get into the gig economy, make money on their own terms, and not only that, but through decades of work and life experience, they have a lot to share. And that's kind of what today's side hustler story is about and kind of what today's side hustler did. Not only is she an older side hustler herself, but she actually caters her business towards women her age as well, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today's side hustler's name is Mary Black. Mary and her husband Mark had lived in rural Minnesota and trained sled dogs for over 22 years. The house they lived in was 10 miles from the nearest paved road, so they were really out there in the sticks. Now, this was before they moved to a small town more recently. One day, Mary was thinking back to her days of training sled dogs. They used to feed the dogs specialized diets, make them their own foods, massage their aches from running, care for them, exercise them. And one day it occurred to Mary that they had taken better care of the dogs than they had taken care of themselves. After having this thought, Mary decided to quit smoking. She started eating healthier and started hitting the gym. And her husband Mark followed suit and did the same. Mary and Mark weren't the only ones that noticed the changes in themselves. Their friends, family, and even people in their small community did as well. People began asking them about it. Not only were they fitter and healthier, but they had more energy and felt better. As Mary said, aging gracefully is fine, but aging youthfully is even better. Mary decided to document her journey of getting healthy and changing her lifestyle, so she decided to start a WordPress blog, bought a GoDaddy domain, set up WordPress, and she called the blog Aging Youthful. Now, Mary's was 50. Well, she wasn't super old. She definitely realized that she probably had more birthdays behind her than ahead of her. She had kind of a new awakening and decided she wanted to start living a more youthful and vibrant life, being more active and experiencing more things. And it wasn't just her, Both online and offline in her community, she found that other women wanted to do the same thing. They wanted to do more than just pay bills and watch TV and feel like life was passing them by. This is where Mary found her target market. Now, sure, you could create a lifestyle program or even a fitness program for everybody, but that's a pretty broad market, and men versus women, as well as people of different ages, they all have different needs. They're all at different places in their lives. She decided to focus on women like herself, women from the 45 to 50 or maybe 60-year age bracket. She herself was one of them, and she could talk to the needs and the desires of this group. Mary decided to start a 2-week coaching program that mirrored her own journey. The program focused on the mind, the body, and the soul. Each day during the week, to begin kind of creating or crafting this course, she decided to set aside an hour to work on it, and on weekends she would also often put in 8, 10, 12, sometimes even 14 hours as she closed in on the end towards completing this course. She used Microsoft Publisher to create the course and the lessons and to set up the lessons, and she set up email marketing through MailChimp. The next challenge was settling on a price. She decided a fair way to settle on the price would be to determine a fair rate by figuring out how much time it would create the course, and then to figure out how much she wanted to be paid for that time. She eventually settled on $147 for an early bird rate and rolled out higher pricing the closer it got to the release so that the early adopters got a discount. Now, I think this is important, figuring out how to price a course at a fair cost as well as how much you want to get paid. So I was watching a webinar over the weekend by 2 entrepreneurs, I'm not going to mention their names, for their new drop shipping course, and I couldn't help but laugh as they threw out some bullet points during this webinar about how their course was over a $200,000 value based on their expertise and the time that they put in. Don't be a fucking idiot. Be realistic. Charge a rate which is fair and reasonable to you and also reasonable to your customers. Well, $147 isn't cheap. Mary also wasn't charging thousands of dollars for this course. I think this is especially relevant today, and I think something that people need to keep in mind. I think maybe the days of being able to charge thousands of dollars of courses is coming to an end. With sites like Udemy and Skillshare where people can get reasonably priced courses, hopefully the days of people shelling out thousands and thousands of dollars will be coming to an end. But again, I digress. Mary realized that to sell a course, you first have to establish yourself as an expert. Now, Mary wondered whether her years of dog training experience and her own personal transformation would be enough to the women she hoped to serve and sell to. Despite her nervousness, it was more than enough for the 25 women who signed up for her course. The course brought in over $3,600, which is pretty good for her first course, and on the success of that course, she's going to be rolling out another one. Now, this business was pretty cheap to start and set up. It only wound up costing her about $200 all in, and that included the domain, hosting, email marketing software, and a few other little things. She's proven to herself and other women like her that life doesn't have to end at 50. She's not only having success in making money, but she's even more happy and motivated than she's ever been. Mary's longtime goal has been to go full-time with this coaching and course thing, and she's achieved that, and she really enjoys being able to help people and give back to others as well. One thing I thought was really cool about Mary's story is when I think about most people, I think when most people think about coaching, they think about business coaching. They think of these overpriced, nonsense, scamish business and entrepreneur courses, and coaching centered around drop shipping, Shopify stores, and Amazon FBA businesses. Well, there is big money in business coaching. Coaching can be done sharing knowledge or expertise about any topic. A buddy of mine is a vegan. He's into healthy eating, and he has a history as a personal trainer. And he's currently rolling out a course and a training program to help people get healthy and get in shape. And his course is kind of specifically geared towards people who are severely overweight and people who either have no experience in the gym or are just getting back into the gym after a long time. You can literally do this on any topic. I'm sure every one of you guys has some type of expertise or knowledge base in an area that other people want to learn more about. If you have a story, a structure for the course, and access to something like Microsoft Publisher, Microsoft Word, or even Google Docs and a cell phone video camera, and some other simple, easy to use tools, you too can create a course. The content is way more important than the bells and whistles, so don't get hung up just because you're not a master video editor or super tech savvy. If you don't believe that, think about my channel. I think it proves that. I kind of suck at those things, but I've done pretty well for myself growing this audience. I also really like how Mary wound up settling on her pricing. If you're wanting to do something similar, just think about the minimal financial return you're willing to accept for your time and for putting this course or this education together, and base your pricing off of that. And as you improve and continue to develop an audience, continue to raise your price, and that's exactly what Mary did. Anyhow, guys, that is today's episode of Side Hustle Tuesdays. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you were inspired. And until next time, this is Rules for Rebels and Side Hustle Tuesdays, signing off.